You want to talk about big shoes to fill. I don't think anyone in Congress had bigger shoes to fill last year than Eric Burlison of Missouri's 7th Congressional District, southwest part of the state. Literally and figuratively, you got to replace Billy Long. Boy, that's those are big shoes to fill, Congressman. Good morning. Thanks for being here on KCMO.
Good morning, Pete. Good to talk with you again.
So let's just start off. You know, I know that many folks, they go to D.C., they want to help the people of their district, and I don't deny that is you for a single second. But, boy, there's been a lot of drama in your first year in Congress. Now we're trying to figure out who your Speaker of the House is or who our Speaker of the House is going to be. And it seems like we're not all that close. Where do things stand as of this morning?
Well, we're getting ready to go into conference here in about 40 minutes. And it's probably going to be another these conference meetings. I swear, if there was a fly on the wall, you would see some very ugly conversations these last few weeks that we've had. But I have a feeling this one is going to be similar. It's going to be a bloodletting. It's going to be people airing their grievances. And look, I voted for Kevin McCarthy. Back in January. Mm-hmm. Not because I love Kevin McCarthy or thought that he was the most conservative leader, but he was the speaker designee. He hadn't done anything for me to say that I have to vote against him. So I voted for him 15 times. I voted to keep Speaker McCarthy when Matt Gaetz, tried to remove him because I thought it was bad timing. I thought it was a poor decision because I kind of thought we'd be in this situation. But I'm voting for Jim Jordan. And at this point in time, these members, it makes no sense that they are taking out their anger on Jim Jordan, their anger against Matt Gaetz on Jim Jordan. That Jim Jordan, who is the guy who gave a speech to endorse McCarthy, who was there giving the speech to try to stop McCarthy from being removed, but yet people want to exact some pound of flesh on somebody, and so they're going to take it out on Jim Jordan. And the American people love Jim Jordan. So I'm with Jim Jordan all the way.
And as I understand it, Kevin McCarthy has is endorsing and voting for Jim Jordan?
Yes, absolutely. Everybody in leadership, they're all saying, guys, this is where we're at. Like if we don't do this, at this point in time, there's no one that's going to get to 217 that other than Jim Jordan. Okay? It's just these knuckleheads that are voting him down have to come. They've got to cool off. They've got to be reasoned with and come to the conclusion that it's either going to be Jim Jordan or it's going to be a shared power, some kind of coalition government between Democrats and Republicans. And in my mind, that's a non-starter. But that's where things are tipping. And there's some Republicans, some moderate Republicans. I've seen them. I've actually overheard them sitting next to me on the floor going and trying to negotiate something with the Democrats, some kind of package where they would appoint and what the Democrats want, they want Patrick McHenry to be the interim speaker. And then they want in addition, they want funding for Ukraine, an Israeli package. So they're putting together their demand of all the things that they want and the speaker that they want. And in my opinion, that would be an absolute abject failure for the Republican Party.
Patrick McHenry, for people that don't know, is a North Carolina congressman. So you think that is, I mean, at this point, Eric Burlison, Missouri's 7th Congressional District congressman's on KCMO. You think that is a legitimate possibility, unfortunately, right now, where that could happen, where Democrats coalesce with a handful of Republicans and get somebody like a Congressman McHenry in there as a temporary speaker?
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of people rumoring about that, and I think that it is. I think it is a potential.
Okay.
Jaya Paul, Representative Jaya Paul, who's one of the most liberal, crazy liberals up here. She's on Twitter or posted as saying that she's waiting for what assurances are around a form of power sharing, and she said, "What do we have to ensure what happens here reflects the fact that the Dems are essentially governing this body." So she's basically saying the quiet part out loud. If we don't elect a speaker out of the Republican if the Republicans don't elect the speaker and the Democrats end up helping us elect the speaker, they essentially we will be handing things over to the Democrats.
All right. So what now? I mean, you're right. Get it done. Move on. That being said, I mean, could we go through this again where Matt Gaetz gets all upset and continues to act like a tool and then wants to blow out Jim Jordan? I mean, is that going to be possible as well, whoever gets in there next?
I don't see the problem with voting against Jim Jordan and doing a motion to vacate against Jim Jordan is probably very unlikely because he's the second most popular Republican in the nation next to Donald Trump. Okay, so these members that are voting against him out of spite, they are facing a lot of heat from their districts because I can tell you, my voters, my district, they're calling overwhelmingly saying vote for Jim Jordan, overwhelmingly. Mm-hmm. And so I don't understand why they're doing it, but I'm convinced too. The reason why McCarthy was vacated has less to do with his political policies and more to do with, if you look at the 8 people that voted to vacate him, they all had a personal grievance where they felt like McCarthy had promised them something and then lied. Mm-hmm. And so that's why the 8 were not from the right wing or they were kind of across the spectrum.
Yeah. But what would prevent then a moderate Republican from voting for Jim Jordan, but then leading the way on a vacating of Jim Jordan if the same thing were to happen in reverse?
Yeah, I think that person would be drummed out of the party because it just would be extremely unpopular. It's a lot like what Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney did. When you're taking on somebody that is a beloved leader of the party like Donald Trump, like Jim Jordan, it's a completely different dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right, so you guys have a meeting here in just over a half hour. It's closed-door, Republican-only conference. You don't have high hopes for it, Congressman Burlison, and that will lead to what? Is there going to be more official voting today, or what happens after your meeting here coming up in less than an hour?
So I'm hopeful that we can air our grievances and we can move on, and it's going to be Jim Jordan. If it's not going to be Jim Jordan, and we're going to take another stab at it and try to get another member, it'll take us another week or 2 weeks.
Wow!
And I'm not in. I want to get this done. I want to pass the appropriation bills. I want to fix the border. I want to. If Joe Biden wants Ukraine money, he's going to have to fix the border, and he's going to have to do it immediately. There's a lot of things that this administration wants, and I think that we need to hold some of these items hostage and try to negotiate get everything we can out of these negotiations, and we need a speaker to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, keep up the good work. Keep up the good work, Congressman. Thank you for being here on KCMO.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. You too. You're doing a great job.
All right, there you go. That is Eric Burlison, Missouri's 7th Congressional District, southwest part of the state. They're meeting here coming up in 30 minutes. So no high hopes coming out of that. You heard from the guy who's going to be in it. Gosh, I would love to be a fly on that wall, by the way.